sorry. This is Kiran. Okay, like you do Shanti yoga? Like
shashiyoga. Yeah.
Shashiyoga. Like, what's your website?
So it's I'm going to give you the website, but it's actually gone down because I've been changing IP numbers. So it will be back online in about 24 hours.
Okay,
but
good.
It's shashiyoga.com. But I am on Instagram and Facebook, not that I use it very much. And I have gone on to the other sites now that are equivalent, but not obviously following the regime. So I am online in other ways as well.
Great. So I met Kiran, when was that? When did we go to Peru?
Gosh, it seems ages ago, but yeah, so close.
2017 or 2016? Like was it 3 or 4 years ago?
So last year we were in Costa Rica, I think.
Yeah, we did. Last year was Costa Rica. It was 2 years before. I guess it was 4 years ago. It was probably 2016.
Yeah, because before that was Mexico, and then it must be about 3 or 4 years ago.
Tommy was like 3, I think.
And he's 7 now.
Okay, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah. Anyway, we met in Peru, and so and I went and I did the tour with her, and she was the yoga teacher, and it was just I loved that trip. That was so amazing.
I know it was. Yeah, very, very, very spiritually uplifting, and so much. I think everybody a lot of us that were there were very much on the same energy, weren't we? On the same
wavelength there. Yeah, it was great.
Should I say? So we wanted to expand our consciousness. We wanted to meet shamans. We wanted to do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And we went to some very good sites there, didn't we? Sacred sites.
Yeah, we really did. And
Martine there.
I do love Martine. I interviewed her last week, so I'm gonna have an interview with her.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah. So,
really good laugh.
Yeah, it was really fun. Okay, so Kiran has written a new book called A New Vibration, and it's like 16 ways to uplift your. What is it called? 16 ways.
16 simple steps to raise your vibrations
and to stay lifted.
Make it quite easy. Yeah. Yeah. So. And it's not it's not a very big book. I try and keep it simple as possible for everybody. But just to say that it's not just one part of our manifestation of life that will help you raise your vibrations. There's many ways. And not everybody, even though yoga is my niche, not everybody does yoga. So there's many other ways that people can raise their vibrations. And if you do yoga and meditation and mindfulness, you may find that the other parts of your life lower your vibrations. So everything needs to be looked at when we talk about raising our vibration.
I mean, I even just love the playfulness part that you put in there about, like watch how animals and children are, and about how they're just so just pure and curious. And I think really retouching into that is really nice. And right now, especially right now, we need to be thinking about methods on how to raise our vibration, meaning how to feel better, how to be in a higher energy versus in this like programmed low vibrational dumpster that like is trying to be pushed on us all every day.
For sure. Yeah. And this is why it is so important to protect our children and the animal kingdom as well, because they are, one chapter in my book, they are ways, they are close to God consciousness, they are close to that infinite love, the field that is one. And just to be in their presence naturally raises your vibration, because they're so present state of awareness all the time. They don't attach to the past and the future. They don't attach their illusions. So it's so important for us to be in that state. And for us adults, it's very easy for us to think about past and future. So it's important that we protect that. And obviously there's, with the networks out there, the dark deep state networks out there are trying to take that away, in our children. They're darkening them, really. They're taking that innocence away. So it's very important that we protect them. But that is also in the book, yeah, along with many other ways.
And what I really appreciate about when I first started doing yoga, which was probably I don't know, maybe well, I just started doing a little bit in high school, but really I got into it in my mid 20s. But it was like at a gym, and it was like, oh, you know, it's like some kind of wonderful gymnastics where you get to wear tight pants. Like, you know, but then
Mm,
and then I started kind of doing it and kind of realizing, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of a moving meditation. Like this is making me be in the present moment instead of I mean, and I started realizing the other effects of it. And then so you know, I came into it as like an exercise thing, and then like the
mm,
more I got back on it, I just eased up on myself and kind of just started looking at it more as like a holistic like approach to life. And I love how
yeah.
you talk about that it's like it has been bastardized by the Western culture, but
Yeah, fortunately. And now, yeah, that is always my primary um reason for doing yoga. And I think when we talked about this before as well, I think when you're born into life on a bigger perception, your yoga then is about that, as opposed to just a physical exercise. Just whether you do mantras or mudras or anything, it could still just be a physical exercise, you know. It doesn't have to be yoga. And I have to say, I feel at least 90% of the yoga world don't actually teach yoga teachers. And for a long time I had got to the point where I just don't like, I love yoga and I love what I teach and I love when I'm doing it, practicing it and teaching it. But I just don't like yoga. It's not the fact that I don't like yoga. I don't like the yoga world because of what I see every day. And I see a lot of ego and vanity. But what I'm seeing is, and even the people that preach spirituality, they're talking from a closed perception. They don't have any realization and understanding of present state awareness, of the real consciousness, the real field, the one love. They don't have it. They don't even know how life really works. That's why for me, they teach very from a closed perception. It's not present state of awareness. Whether they feel it, it's not. And I can see that from a mile in a teacher. And I know probably, and I even feel some of the organizations like the British Wheel of Yoga and Yoga Alliance, you know, I've taught a lot of their teachers, and they've come up to me and said, Kiran, after doing your class, we realized we don't have a clue about yoga. What are they being taught? What are they being taught? Even if you learn philosophy, even if you learn Sanskrit, you know, Mahabharata, like whatever you learn, they're still talking from a closed perception, you know, and it's much bigger than that. It's much bigger than you know, yoga. Almost like yoga is mind, body and spirit, connection of mind, body and spirit. And if you don't have that connection of mind, body and spirit, or soul, or one consciousness, should I say, that spirit is one consciousness. If you can't connect mind, body and one consciousness, you're not doing yoga as far as I'm concerned. You're doing something
yeah, I mean,
to yoga.
and they're basically just doing variations of the asanas, and
That's
you know, that's it. You know, they're not actually,
And I think with you, because you were very much like me when you were brought up in slightly more open perception to others, because you knew that from a very young age. And I think that's why, even though you may have come into it from an exercise point of view, like a gym point of view, you were quickly able to go into that,
to the other,
the meditative state.
I mean, and I feel like what ends up happening is like, I think people, I mean, I know this for sure because I've talked to tons of people who they say things like, oh, I'm not flexible, or or they'll say things like, oh, that's I don't like that, like it's like kind of spiritual stuff. Like I don't want to get into yoga. Like I don't want to say like namaste after work. I mean, like you have people, I've heard like people say these kinds of things, and then they'll be like, yeah, I don't know, that's a little too woo woo for me. Or you'll have people say things just like that. That's the craziest stuff. They'll just or they think they have to be super fit and super, you know, super like already in shape before they could do yoga. That's something that they one day want to try, but they're not at that point where they can try it yet. And you can be any shape, any size, any age, whatever. And it's a way of life. It's a way of being mindful. It's
Yeah,
not just
yeah. Yoga meets you wherever you are. That's the thing people need to understand. It's not a matter of being a certain way, physical, mentally, or spiritually. Yoga will meet you, and then it just depends on what perception you're on of how quickly you benefit from the practice and where it takes you. And where it takes you just depends on your perception. So it works in a circle. I feel that the teacher is the one that should always be questioned, because the teacher needs to be coming from the right perception, the right perspective. Because if the teacher isn't, then the student is just going to be learning from their perception, on their level. And that's the thing. So that's why, you know, I have had a lot of my students, and I've been teaching what now for, I can't even remember now. Like, where am I? It's over 20, it's probably like 25 years or something. I was teaching when very, very young, but I was brought into it from family. Obviously, my family are all yogis and Ayurvedic and holistic homeopathic doctors, and my grandfather was a yogi as well, and we were very from a spiritual way of life. But I was brought up into, just because I was interested. The first thing I learned was acupressure, actually, and then I started learning about yoga, and I did it for myself. So this is what I was talking about earlier on about the school. You know, I wasn't the kid that would be speaking on the phone for hours and talking about girls and boys, and you know, I don't like this girl or I like this boy. And I was not that type of person. I would much prefer to go home and do my yoga practice and perfect my headstand and do my chakra balancing. It's getting a bit dark. I'm going to have to move the rooms. But that's what I prefer to do, you know. So it came into me from a very young age, and that's the thing. My perception was much more open when I came into the yoga practice, and that's when my teaching is much different. So when people do yoga with me, they connect to my spiritual awareness and understanding on that electromagnetic frequency, that information field that I'm on. They connect to that before they connect to my physical practice.
Yeah, that's really awesome, Kiran. And so, like, let's just give a little bit of background about you so that people kind of know, like, she was the Wii Yoga Girl.
I've almost forgotten about that, but it comes up now and then. Yeah, so, and it's actually interesting because they still have that on sale and on Amazon and whatever. So yeah, I was chosen. I used to work for the Fitness First branch in England, and the UK, sorry, and they had an audition for the whole of the Fitness First branch to pick the three avatars. Well, not avatars. It's the first time we weren't avatars. The first time they were going to actually have real life people on the Wii game. So and I only got that. I got that the audition probably maybe 2 or 3 days before the cutoff date, and I thought, oh, it's a bit too late. But then I thought, you know, if there's anything I know in my life, it's yoga. So let me just audition for this. So I sent a quick email with my website bits and just a little bit of a profile, very, very quick, and just a few pictures of myself. And the director contacted me, I think the next day, and he said, oh, can you come in? And I said, yeah, sure. So I went. It's probably like maybe an hour away from where I was. And I walked in, and he just looked at me and he was like, that's it, you're in, you're chosen you. And I was like, God, I haven't even done the audition, you know. And he was like, no, we loved what you said, and you look exactly like the pictures that you sent. And he said, not everybody did. So he's like, we're having you. But he said, if you want it, you can still do the audition. So I did a little bit of an audition, and yeah, and that's where it started. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There was 3 of us. We did 117 yoga postures and Pilates postures, but it was the first time they had meditation again as well. So I did the meditation sequences as well, and yeah, we had a lovely film crew as well, a very popular film crew apparently. So it was a lot of fun, a few days of filming, and on the back of that, then I did do some radio stuff and magazines and media, and yeah, it was press conferences, and they called me the Lara Croft of the fitness world at the time.
Yes. Well, and you have I mean, she can sing, guys. Her voice is amazing. So you really do need to have your own meditation apps, because like
I know
anytime
people
I do
said
your
I'm
meditations, I'm just
slowly
like,
getting there.
oh.
But yeah, that
Yeah.
was a lot of fun, and yeah, I'm happy that the meditation part was on it as well. So it wasn't just yoga practice, and yeah, it's just another avenue, I guess, because that the computer games were really getting popular at the time, and you know, Nintendo was getting really popular. So I suppose it's a way, an avenue. It's like you say, when you start off at the gym, and then all of a sudden you find another part of yoga that you know you really gel with. So yeah, I think it was a
I mean,
way
I
for
think that
people.
was just a really cool like entry point for people to find you, for you to like kick off your teaching career, you know.
For sure, yeah. We went probably a few years later, because the momentum of that Nintendo game lasted for a few years. So a few years later, I took 23 yoga students on a tour, a yoga tour to India. Collaborated with another fitness trainer, and the minister of the press from India found out I was there, and I didn't know that the game was that popular over there, but he wanted to meet me and he wanted to do an interview. So he came, so they completely closed off one of the hotels in Shimla. We went over to the Himalayas as well, and Dharamshala. So he came over and he completely closed off at one of the hotels for all my students, and he said, whatever you guys want to eat, we'll make for you. And because of that, they got us at the Taj Mahal at 6 o'clock in the morning to do yoga practice, because of my background with Nintendo.
Awesome.
So my students were there at 6 o'clock in the morning during the Taj Mahal. You know, what an amazing experience.
Yeah, pulling some strings
Yeah,
there.
so it did have plus points. Yeah, for sure, yeah. So even though some people might say it's a little you know, commercial, whatever, there's when you can find the balance between these things, you know, sometimes these things, it's like the internet has its pluses and it has its down points, you know. So but with the internet, obviously we're able to communicate so much amazing information, as you know, and as well there's a lot of dark, you know, things happening on the internet as well. So there's got to be, if you can find the parallel, like, you know, I've spoke about before, and you can find the love path, then it, you know, is
Well,
for the good of the universe.
and that's why I really love this book. I just feel like it's you know, because people are always saying, like, especially in the spiritual community, like, you know, you got to raise your vibration, raise your vibration, raise your vibration. And you're kind of like, you know, like a lot of times I'll be like, yeah, I get that, and I know that, and I say that myself, and I know that that's true. But sometimes you get kind of stuck where you're like, well, how? Like, I'm out of ideas right now. And it's really good to have like a book like yours where you can I mean, you have like a lot of really quick ways that aren't,
Exactly,
even
yeah.
just like you have a chapter about like the colors you wear, and like how you're dressing, you know, or music and dancing. I mean, there's things that like we kind of probably go to these things naturally, but sometimes it's good to just have your awareness of those, because then you can kind of go like, oh wait, actually I am informed by my environment, and let's, you know, like I'm
For
gonna try
sure.
to
I
change
mean,
it.
because like I have this in the book as well, you know, for so long I think people that consider themselves spiritual, they have a certain way they feel that they need to live a certain way, you know. So they'll do their yoga and they'll do their meditation and whatever, but they neglect other things in their life, and they forget that they're 3D dimensional beings right now. You know, they've manifested this, they've come from the oneness, and they're here right now. So there's other things out there, not just yoga, meditation, and mindfulness. So they can't just focus on that and neglect everything else. So, you know, they can't just have a child there and neglect the child and not be with the child. They can't have an animal there and neglect the animal. They've got to find the present state of awareness with those things as well. You know, if someone was wearing black all the time, I mean, black's a lovely color, don't get me wrong. And one of my chakras in my second book that's going to be launched soon, on the chakra awakening, I talk about the color black, and I believe there's a chakra out there that is very much black as well. So and I believe that black has obviously been discredited for so long, and it's been neglected from humanity's way of thinking. I'm going to have to take this to a different room because I think I'm going to get very dark soon. But I talk about how powerful black is. But if you're just wearing that the whole time, and that's the energy that you're going to send out the whole time. So sometimes you want to be different colors. You want to be purples, and you want to be, you know, pinks, or
reds,
you know, bright like yellows. You want to be strong. Like yellow represents a very strong person, because not everybody's got the guts to wear yellow. I remember when I was a young girl at school, and I used to have a really bright yellow coat, and everybody else is wearing these dark coats. And I used to I just thought, you know what, I'm going to choose whatever everybody else isn't choosing. So I'm going to go for this bright yellow coat. And I was known at the beginning of my secondary school as the girl with the yellow coat. The girl with the yellow coat. But it just showed everybody, you know what, I'm fearless. Like, I am not afraid of wearing yellow, you know. And after that, I wore bright colors all the time. You'd go out for nightclub events and I'd be wearing pinks and you know, bright reds and whatever. So I would really stand out. I would like to stand out. I wanted to be different, you know. I didn't want to be the same. I didn't want anybody to say to me, you're the same, you fit in. I'd rather be called weird and different than the same, you know, because that's the way I was. I think from a very, very young age, I started to question society, and I started to question the education system, you know, what people believe is meant to be success, you know, whether you have that house that we talked about earlier on, you know, whether you have a house, or you're married by a certain age, or, you know, you have a certain amount of money in your account.
Right, you're in the box.
Success, but that's a complete illusion. Yeah, that's not what gives you contentment. It might give you a very small amount of happiness, but it will be small because it's not going to last very long until the next car comes out, or you know, your neighbor moves to a really nice neighborhood and you want to move there now, or suddenly they've got this much money and they're going on this many holidays, and you think, wow, I need to step up my game now to meet them. And but why should that be our success? You know, why should our life be based on that? Or anything, in fact, anything in life. Why is life based, our contentment in life and peace based on anything in life? We were born from an infinite consciousness, a field of oneness. We already are everything we wanted to be. We already are peace, love, and contentment. And all this that we're living is a part of us enjoying and evolving. It's like that consciousness is growing more and more. And like every single person in this life learns something and takes it back to the consciousness. You know, like we can't all do everything at the same time, but we can be everything. We already are. But if we're physically doing something, we've got our niches and we're learning those niches, and then we take them back to that one consciousness. So every one of us is just as important as each other, you know. But life and society has taught us all to fight and battle, and you know,
be competitive.
And exactly. But so the new vibration really was it was released at the time of the virus, actually. So it was a bit difficult to launch it, and it's just been semi-launched really at the moment online. And fingers crossed I should be able to launch it physically, have a proper launch physically at a bookstore as I launch my second one. But it's come exactly at the right time, I feel.
And what is your second one going to be called?
So the second one is the total chakra balancing, and it kind of supports this one as well.
That's great.
So we talk about the 7 main chakras that are, you know, a lot of people have heard of, from the root to the crown. And I've also introduced another chakra in that, which I probably was for a year now. I'm getting messages from my higher self, or the field, shall I say, that information is being sent to me, that there's something more within these chakras that we can connect to. And I do feel obviously the heart is very, very powerful. We have a crown chakra that connects, but in between that there's that darkness, the black. There's a darkness, and for me that chakra is either black or very like night blue. It's very dark night blue. And you always have to go through the dark to find the light. You cannot be afraid of the dark. Yeah, you must go through that dark. That's where the secrets are. And people are afraid of what they cannot see. Yeah. But once you have the courage to go through that darkness, you will find the answers. The truth will then reveal itself. And it's more than light. It's actually truth. Truth is the higher vibration, truth, because truth is the protection. The truth is that if someone speaks, walks and talks the truth, they are protected by the higher vibrational energy, because truth and light is so far apart. That is the low vibration, that is the high vibration. And truth is behind that darkness. And people have been, for so long, been told to be afraid of the dark, you know, and walk away from the dark. But only when you close your eyes or even open your eyes and walk into that darkness, you're gonna see that truth. And that truth takes you to parallel universes. It takes you to aspects of yourself in these different universes that are living part of something that you may have wanted to be. They're already living, and you're able to connect to these aspects of yourself and bring that information here, because it's just working on this electromagnetic field in this space. It's all in the same space, and that chakra can take you there. I only touch on it a little bit in this book, but I will talk much more about it. As the more information I'm getting on it, I'm going to talk much more about it, and I'm probably going to do a course on it as well.
Okay, so this brings me to I don't know when, maybe like a year or two ago, I had this dream where in the dream, my mother came and got me up and was like, hey, there's a tornado, come into my room. And I was like, okay. And so like, I could hear a little bit of a tornado alarm going off, and I was like, oh. And so like, I start, and it was in the middle of the night, and I start walking, and all of a sudden, like my feet are kind of getting sluggish, and everything kind of starts going black. And I was like, oh, Mom. And she was like, what? And I was like, this is a dream. And she was like, oh. And then all of a sudden, like this blackness encompassed me. And it was the blackest black I've ever experienced. It was blacker than when you have your eyes like this. It was blacker than, and I started panicking because I couldn't see anything. I couldn't feel anything. And then there was like this thought voice that was like breathe into it. You have to be comfortable with the dark, because it won't last forever. And I was like, okay. And it said, you have to go through the dark to get to the light. And I was like, okay. So like I was sitting in there, and I had to figure out how to self-soothe and calm myself and just be in this place and be okay with the complete blackness. And then I came out of it at the other end. But it was just like, that made me that gave me a whole new perspective on the dark and on the black. And I've even heard a lot of people, this was a theme that has come up a lot. What is this whole, like, when you die, they say like, go to the light. But then I've heard a bunch of different people say, actually the light is the reincarnation tunnel. That's what puts you back into another body, which could be interpreted as perhaps maybe like a prison grid. I don't know if I believe in any of that. I'm just saying these are some theories that are out there. They're saying, but like, actually you might want to go to the silence and go to the darkness and and then decide when you want to go to the light. You might,
because you have this nothingness, and you have everything, don't you? You have everything and nothingness. So although they exist together because they're part of the infinite love, but to create life, you need to be awake in that dimension. You need to have light. You need you need everything, really. You need to be able to see everything. But if you're back with the consciousness, it's nothingness. So you're back to the nothingness, you're back to the silence, and you're back to, I suppose it would be darkness, but it's just the infinite love in its original form, really, which is not manifested, in this manifestation that we are. But it is what quantum physics is now speaking about as well. And this is something that spiritual people, but I mean spiritual people as in people that really because I mean, religion and spirituality is very different. And in my experience, I have met people that would call themselves spiritual, but I don't really see a spiritual bone in their body, unfortunately, with all due love and respect. But the spiritual spirituality teaches us, and many myths, obviously, and legends, and I think some parts of religion actually do touch on it as well. I've lost my track of thought now. What
like about like is like the quantum mechanics of it, like
we've talked about this for many years before the quantum physicists actually spoke about this, you know, the spiritual oneness, and even from shapeshifters, you know, because from the shapeshifters we see as different frequencies. We don't see, you know, from a human perspective, people talk about shapeshifting from a solid perspective, don't they? And from a spiritual perspective, it's because frequency changes. You know, frequencies change. So you can, someone that looks like they're shapeshifting is actually just a frequency change. So we've been speaking about this from a spiritual perspective for many years, and my family have, and to them it's just part and parcel of life, you know. But I think in the Western world, because it's a lot of stuff is matter of fact, and we follow our 5 sense ways of life. You know, if you don't see it, it's not there type of thing. If you don't feel it, it's not there. It's hard for people to comprehend. It's hard for them.
Well, I think that's why the Eastern world, I guess you would say, is it. I feel like the whole holographic universe theory really doesn't really mess them up at all. They're kind of like, yeah, I could see that. You know?
Yeah, exactly. When you brought up with it, you know, and you've been told about shape-shifting. I was told about shape-shifting snakes from a very young age. You know, it's actually part of the Hindu religion. So, like when they talk about the Nag and everything. So, so we already knew about these things. But so when someone tells us about it, you know, this could actually be happening. We've grown up with that. We know that. We already know that. So, so from a spiritual perspective, I think. So that's why I suppose the Western world is a little bit behind in that sense, because of their perception. Their perception is very much solid and 5 sense reality.
Right, they're too into materialism and
yeah. But there's more than just, you know. So they're seeing without the physical, but they're seeing behind that as well, which we talk when we talk about the third eye. And there's expression. But then there's a different type of expression which you have from the heart as well. You know, the heart speaks because it knows. You know, we have the feeling. People feel with their, you know, fingers and touch. But then you have a different type of feeling. You have a sentient feeling. You have a feeling of knowing people and knowing things. And when you walk into a room and you can feel atmospheres and energies, you know. So all these senses, you know, and even hearing. You know, people can hear, but they hear. But like, you know, as science tells us now, hearing is just even that is a bit of an illusion, really, because nothing really makes a sound apart from what the observer hears. I mean, it's very, very complex. When I was listening to the scientists talk about this, but sound isn't really there until the observer hears it.
Yeah, I mean, and it is also, even if you did want to go from a materialization point of view, it's like dogs can hear frequencies we can't hear, you know, like on a regular basis. You have birds, owls, things like this that have symmetric ear placements, and they can hear surround sound. Like they can hear way more detail than we can hear. I mean, we have all these frequencies, like electromagnetic, like all the way from, you know, microwaves and gamma waves and all this stuff, and radio waves, and the visual light spectrum is just a very small snippet of the waves that are existing within frequencies. So there's a whole world that can be probably going on within our world that we just can't physically perceive with our tools. We just don't have the tools to see them. And like, but yet there's cats can see at night, or, you know, there are animals that can see at night. There are animals that can see, like what do you call it, like they see black and white, but movement is in color.
And the communication, and obviously you know, so the speed of light, etc. But you know, people don't have to speak to communicate. You know, and that's another wavelength, really. That's another wavelength. So how fast does that go? If you think about, you know, people speaking from different parts of the world, or even people giving healing energy. Giving healing energy. You know, people give distant healing energy just like that in an instant, because of that electromagnetic energy. You know, heat waves moving from one side of the world, and people actually feel it. You know, so all of this is not of the 5 sense reality, and it's not of you know, what the the normal scientists, I suppose, more commercial scientists would agree with. But yeah, so the new vibration is so it's more than just, you know, what people would normally go to raise their vibrations. There's a lot more in there. I even talk about time, how time is such an illusion, and it's just, again, it's just what people, if you cannot talk about past and future in reality, because it doesn't exist, because all the time you're in the now. Like in the past you was in the now, and in the future you're in the now. So you know, and even from the time that we're given in our daily lives, that, you know, where does that come from? You know, I have to be at work at this time and I have to leave at this time. Even those are created, you know, and at a certain age, by a certain time, you have to be doing this and this. And this is all a creation. It's all an illusion. It's all to trap us.
I would love to live in like some sort of community setting where we just didn't have clocks. Like it was just like, you know, you lived by your internal clock and you did.
Yeah.
I mean, like, God, that would be amazing. I've always had a battle with time. Like, you know, like having to be on a regiment, I have to be here at this
I know,
time.
I'm the same. People, my clients and my students used to say to me, oh, you know, there's Indian time, and there's yogi time, and there's Kiran's time. Because even the yogis are known to be late, because they're kind of like, yeah, whatever, just get there when you get there. But I'm like, you know what? I'm on universal time. That time, the universe knows when I should be somewhere.
Yeah, I always had that kind of attitude where I was like, well, the party doesn't start till I'm there. So like,
yeah, exactly. For me, it doesn't start until I'm there. I'm the observer.
So that's what time it starts. When I get there, that's when it starts. So
exactly. But yeah, so the chakra, I'm very excited about that as well. So that also it's quite an interactive book, the chakra balancing. It's inner and outer beauty. So in that book, it's again, I'm taking it away from just the spiritual perspective, because we're living in this 3D world. We want to live in this world, you know, we want to really enjoy this world. So I'm talking about many different things that you can use to connect those chakras to your manifestations. So the essential oils and herbs, colors again, and, you know, lots of frequencies that you know in your life. So lots of different things that will help you open those chakras, but then manifest the symbolic manifestations, really symbolic manifestations of those chakras. So each chakra obviously represents a different thing. It's not just the color and the spinning wheel. They all have a symbolic meaning behind them, and there's ways you can manifest that into your life as well. So they both meet each other. And also I do talk about as well outer beauty as well, how to nurture yourself as well, because obviously I believe myself that we're holograms of our perception, but it doesn't mean that the body that we've given ourselves shouldn't be nurtured. And a lot of people do that in a spiritual realm. They think, oh, they just, you know, sit on the mountain all day and say om and forget about the physical part.
Just let it go, right?
Yeah. Let that, obviously my head's not brilliant today, but just let it all go, you know, just but you know, I say nurture yourself, you know, beautify the things that are part of you, that the part that you want to bring out. So if you are the strong leader, you know, if that's that energy that within you, then there's ways that you can bring that out even more. You know, that if there's a creative part of you that's suddenly being neglected, there's ways of dressing to bring that creative side out more, even spiritual parts of you.
I love that, because, you know, a big problem I noticed with like energy healing and a lot of people like with chakras, like it's like if you work on somebody or you'll be like, okay, your root chakra's closed, or your sacral chakra or whatever, and then like they kind of feel like, oh God, I'm broken, but it's like chakras they are what do you call it, ever changing kind of thing, you know. So it's like, and I love that you're giving them tools how to even practically nurture ones, because it's not like, oh, that means your sacral chakra is going to be closed for all eternity. No, it's just like today it's not doing so hot.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, that doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that. Like, but it just means you need to give a little extra nurture to these particular spots or
and
whatever.
there's many different ways you can do it, many different ways, you know. Again, yoga's part of it. Yoga's one way that you could do it, but again, as I said, not everybody does yoga. So there's, you know, affirmations that you can use. They don't have to be mantras, they don't have to be Sanskrit mantras, but they could be affirmations that I help you create that will help those chakras open up, and the energy that you want to bring in to your life from those chakras. And again, certain colors that you can wear, certain herbs that you can eat, foods that you can eat, music that you can listen to again. So it's very much related to those new vibrations, but it is working on those 7 chakras, but a lot more focused on not just the official narrative, I would say, on the chakras as well. It goes much more deeper. It goes much more deeper than that. And again, I'm very happy to be able to bring the new chakra in, which I'm also learning about myself. So again, I've only touched on it very slightly, but I will do a lot more work with that and teach a lot more with that, because I do think that's going to be the one that takes people out of the, I was going to say out of the light, but it's not really out of the light. It's more into the darkness. And
or maybe into another dimension.
Yeah, and people will have the ability to connect the parallel lives and different dimensions, because I do feel that science, mainstream science, I would say, and possibly related to the regime and the deep state, through AI intervention, are attempting to give people the ability to be able to do certain things in their life that they weren't able to do, but with artificial intelligence implants. And obviously they've already said that a lot of that's happening, but people can already do this. Humanity can already do this. This was lost for many years ago when there was intervention in our DNA. We are capable of connecting to other aspects of ourselves and other consciousness to be able to bring those learnings into us if we needed to. We can bring all this. It's like a download into the consciousness, into our spiritual awareness, into the now. We can download into the now. So this is what I feel this chakra is going to teach us. So
that's awesome, because I really do believe telepathy is real, and I mean, I've talked about that on my podcast a lot. Me and my Danielle, the other girl I do my podcast with, we've practiced like telepathic techniques and stuff before. I have done that with a couple other friends. Like I think that stuff is real. I know it's coming on board, because I've been having a lot of thoughts about how I need to clean up my thoughts, because telepathy is going to be coming. I don't know how or when, but I believe it's going to be coming. And then the same thing is with even like the ability to like just instantly manifest more and fly and even stuff like that. Like I believe in that stuff, because I don't think the dream state is nothing. And like I don't know how to explain what is coming or to what extent it's going to ever manifest in this reality, but this reality isn't fixed.
No, for sure. It's ever changing, and everything that exists is in this one consciousness. Everything that exists, everybody's knowledge, all information is there, and this is what this chakra is going to take people to. They'll be able to connect to any of this, but it's already there. I mean, even if you looked even if you went beyond that, the bigger picture, that big infinite love is all that is. It is everything. Information in there, and we only have to tap into this information to download it. But our perception has told us that we're just this solid form that we are right now, and we can only learn from this perception and what's in front of us. But really, we can connect to any of this, and it's energetic waveforms. It's energetic waveforms. So yeah, it's definitely coming. Information is coming to people that are open to it. The people that will open to this will download this information for sure.
Well, and you've definitely downloaded some of it and put it into books, which are very helpful. And
I'm very excited for getting these books out, and obviously the time that they've come out, I don't know if it was meant to be. It probably is. I mean, nothing is a coincidence. Everything is aligned. So you know, that they're supposed to come out, I suppose, when they are. But I do have another couple coming out after that, and I do have so I'm on a bit of a roll when it comes down to books at the minute.
Good.
So I've got I'm bringing the modern day yoga philosopher in there, which is going to be all my philosophies from, I can't remember when I started to, you know, speaking spiritual talk, I guess, when I was very little, and I'm going to be putting those down in books, and everything that comes to me, you know, and obviously,
well, and I really think you need to write one on parenting, because like Kiran like has a son and she's a single mother, and she just, when she goes, like Dommy comes with her, like it's just like and it's like, you know, he adjusts.
We're like this, aren't we? And everything that I talk about, he talks now, like he you know, he's his own little yogi. He's got his own little YouTube channel, and he does his videos every other week, and you know, so he's very spiritually aware, and he's you know, and I'm really I don't know what the word is. I'm grateful. I'm very, very grateful to have such an intuitive boy, intuitive child, and he wants to know the truth. My son wants to know the truth, you know, and his wish really is for everybody to know the truth. You know, if he could wish for anything, his wish is, I want everybody to know the truth. And as I said before, the truth is the higher vibration, is the highest vibration, because that truth is love. Truth is love. Truth is fearless. Love is fearless. You know, there is no lie. There's no fear there at all. So yeah, you know, and he comes with me everywhere on the yoga trips. You know, from 2 months, his first one in Ibiza. came along for the 2 months trip, and then since then he's been all over the world, and he walks up in that Inca Trail in the Peru, and I remember when we were at the bottom, and the guy said to me, "Oh, you both won't be able to go up." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Oh, because, you know, he's going to get tired, and you're not going to be able to carry him." And I said to Dominic, "What do you want to do, son?" And he was like, "Mommy, I want to do what everybody else is doing." I was like 3, on my shoulders. So we started walking up, and thankfully we had Jason, and we had the 2 guides there, didn't we? So they helped as well, and then Tommy was the first one up there, I think, when he got there on the back. But yeah, he you know, and in Costa Rica as well, and he just, you know, and I know a lot of parents, obviously, I think I talked about this in the New Vibration as well, you know, they put their fear onto the children, and they feel that they need to protect their children, and they underestimate children.
Yeah, I mean, it's even, I noticed like Dommy kind of, you know, like he eats what we eat, or you modify a little bit with the restaurant or whatever. Like he
100%,
wherever we're eating, you know. Whereas I feel like my nieces and nephews, it's kind of like there's these 3 items they'll eat and nothing else. And, you know, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, I get that as well. You know, like when his friends come over, I have to make sure I've either got pasta or nuggets or pizza or garlic bread or something. But right from the start, I wanted to make sure Dominic was open to all things and all people and different areas of the world and different foods, and I know what I am, you know, who I am as well, and I like to explore the world, and I don't want to be confined into just this, you know, system, this education, and, you know, I wanted to really open and expand my mind. And I know that for Dommy to do that, he needs to be able to be open to things as well, and food. Now he will try everything. He will always say, "Okay, let me try it." You know, if he generally doesn't like it, "Oh, I didn't really like that one." He'll try all the herbs, and he'll be, "Oh, I like this green herb, but I don't like that green herb." You know, so yeah, I'm very, very blessed, and my mum always says that as well, and everybody says he eats everything. He eats everything that you give him. He'll never argue. He'll never say, "Oh no, I want pizza and pasta," you know, and even that. He won't eat just simple pizza and pasta. He likes the acquired taste now. Like, he likes different things, and yeah, you know, I'm very, very blessed that he's vegan. He's vegan like me. You know, he made the choice to be vegan. He was vegetarian, and he asked me why I was vegan, and I explained to him why I was vegan, and he said to me, "Why am I not vegan then, Mummy?" why am I not vegan? And I said, oh, because I just thought it would be easier at school. And like, no, you know, and then he started talking about it. Well, these things affect me and blah, 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 and that's not fair that you do that to me and make me vegetarian. So he became vegan, and so now he eats everything I eat. And the thing is, you know, being plant-based, you can match anything out there. You know, I had to, when, you know, when I changed him to vegan at school, they gave him his main meals, but they said that not all of the desserts could be made vegan because there's not that many vegans in the school, and it would just be too difficult for the chef to do that. So I said, that's fine, I will match everything. I will match it, you know. So I matched everything on that dessert menu, sorry. So everything they do, I match vegan and I take it in. So I just wanted to make sure that, you know, make sure, number one, that he didn't feel like he was being left out. Number two, number two, to show them, you know, you can actually do everything plant-based. You can actually have, everything can be done vegan as well.
Yeah, you really can.
So yeah, he's a little star. He's a little star. And actually I am writing another book about him as well. And it's the Yogi Apprentice. So it's his life's journey with me from a youngster.
So are you doing, well, I don't know with all this COVID stuff, but do you think you're going to be doing another trip sometime soon, or?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to see how it pans out with this. I mean, obviously, like,
well, the travel's so restricted right now that it's kind
of travel
is
so restricted. Yeah, I mean, obviously we can travel, but you know, in the UK we have to quarantine for 2 weeks. But then you've got all the restrictions of masks, and which I absolutely refuse to do, and then track and tracing and temperature tests, which again I refuse to do, because I'm in charge of my body, so no one tells me what I can and can't put in or on my body, especially if I know that it will harm. So I wouldn't do that, and I wouldn't support that. So I have to wait and see what happens. I think it's like my son said, you know, the other day, he said, how long do you think this is going to go on for, Mama? And I said, what? And he said, the COVID, you know, the COVID-19. And I said, as long as people keep complying, it will go on. If people just stop and don't do it any longer, it will stop, because it's not the COVID-19 that's the problem. It's the people complying, acquiescing to everything that they're being told to do, locking down, masking, social distancing, temperature checking, you know, hating humanity, hating their fellow human. You know, it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
You know, when people just stop doing that and say, no, we're not doing it, we don't agree with it, there's no scientific based evidence any of this works, and actually there's no scientific evidence anywhere in this world that COVID-19 exists, number one. So when you show me that it exists, I will then start entertaining the other things, and I will look into those. But right now there's no evidence that exists, and the machine they test with doesn't even test for COVID-19. It tests for DNA in that every human has. So, you know, and my son knows this as well. So for me, I feel until people say no, and they refuse to do what the so-called guidelines are, we might be in this for the long haul at the moment, because you would have to wear masks, you would have to isolate, and you possibly soon would have to have vaccinations or chips to prove that you've had COVID, and again, we're not going to be doing any of that. Yeah, so if there's a retreat, I would have to keep it in the UK at the moment, but even then, you know, not everybody is comfortable at the moment here. Everybody, it's 50-50. There's a 50-50 here. You know, people want to get out of it. There's a lot of people that are awake in this situation, but there's a lot of people that would just say,
yeah, I mean, and it's a hard thing, because it's very much there is a lot of fear programming going on, pumping really, really hard, trying their best to make everybody as scared as possible.
They're relentless. They are relentless. The information feed from so-called TV channels and social platforms, the social media platforms out there, they are relentless. They are taking out for anyone that is disagreeing with the narrative, the official narrative, and they're making sure that everyone is fed the fear mongering. And yeah, so until people start coming off that feed and going into a different feed, it's going to be difficult. And also, you know, I think the people that are waking up to this, people that do know the truth have to be brave. They have to start speaking the truth. That's it. They have to start speaking the truth, and they have to stop complying with what they're telling them to do, because that's going to be the difference. Because really what you want to do is awaken humanity. But then when you've awoken humanity, if that humanity carries on doing what everybody else is doing and acquiescing, what's the point? Then you're back to square one. So when you've awoken humanity, that humanity needs to stop complying and spread the wave, the vibrational wave of truth to other people, whichever way they can. And again, that will then just grow bigger and bigger and bigger until that wave engulfs the whole of our existence, really, and raises the vibration of all. So even those people in the lands that don't have the access and sources of information, people don't always have access and sources to read books and internet. There's many places in this world, the third world countries, that people don't have that access. But even those people will have their vibrations raised when a certain amount of humanity raises their vibration.
Yeah.
So we have to look at it like that. And we have to look at the bigger picture, because right now,
and they might be actually better off than us in a lot of ways, because they don't have
the
programming.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have social media. But
but it's like the 100th monkey,
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And right now, that's what it is, isn't it? Like what the deep state, if you want to call it, the regime, or whatever it is cult is doing right now, is dividing humanity. It's dividing humanity, and humanity can't help each other, and people are becoming very much me. You see families very much me. I'm all right, I've got my money, I've got my this and this, but what about all these other people that are losing their jobs and haven't got, they haven't got money to feed their kids, and families are getting chucked out. And soon, the end of the year comes in the UK, we're going to see so much more of that. So people need to now find their humanity and compassion and work together to help each other. Because if they don't, this is that separation. This is the separation. But me, I've always been that way. I'm quite a humanitarian, and my leadership has always been about all of humanity is my family. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't. It's very much their own, to protect their me and my own. So to raise the vibration, they're going to have to connect to the whole vibrational energy, which is everyone, because we are all part of the whole. And it's just protecting themselves isn't going to make the difference, because that vibration is also being affected by everyone else.
Yeah, it's true. It is true.